Hello, Taurus. Elsie here to do a reading for you, my friends. Guess what? We're at the monthlies. You're first on the list. So it's going to be a busy week for readings. And we are doing the monthlies and the weeklies this week. So you will be getting this monthly reading. Then you'll be getting the weekly reading throughout the week. So we'll start with you, Taurus, with the monthlies. And we'll find out what is going on for you in the month of July. Because look, this is a busy month. You know, this is it's like a massive generational shift kind of month, because the planets that have shifted lately, Neptune into Aries, Saturn into Aries, Uranus into Gemini, Chiron into Taurus, you know, those ones are all going to stay for a while, between 2 years and 14 years, right? Neptune is going to be in Aries for 14 years, and Uranus is going to be in Gemini for 8 years. Chiron's going to be in Taurus for 4 to 8 years. And so these are all shifts that are going to be very lengthy times for you to learn different lessons. So we're going to ask some specific questions in the monthlies. We're going to ask, how are you showing up in July? How you are showing up in July is feeling lucky. I like it. Look at that. I love that. So now is a lucky time. You're going to start feeling lucky. I feel like, and you know, I don't believe in luck, right? I've told you that before. I feel like it's too random and the universe is very organized, but I feel like there's an excitement of change. And I feel like even for those of you who don't necessarily like it, I think you're going to learn to like it, because now you're going to realize that when the change comes, it's for a very sort of lucky reason. You're going to start feeling a little more lucky. Ooh, because there is change. Sorry, I already threw a card over my shoulder. There is going to be change, and how do we know that? Because we've got card 49, and that's a 13. And what's 13? That's transformation in the tarot, right? That's a major arcana. All right, so what is being reconsidered, or what is shifting in the month? Because we also have Mercury retrograde in Cancer, which makes us reflect emotionally. It's also going to bring up some feelings, right? Emotions about you're going to realize the way you feel about some things. So what are you going to be reconsidering? It might be something emotional. What you will be reconsidering is truth, I feel, and how it transcends illusion. And we say, you know, those are just all foo-foo words, right? But when we say truth transcends the illusion, you actually see something for what it is rather than what you wanted it to be. So I feel like what is being reconsidered is, wait a second, is that really the way it is? Or is that the way I wanted to see it because I saw the potential in it and I wanted to see the potential in it? So things become clearer in July in this big shift for you. So the last question we'll ask then is, what will you be focusing on then in July? Because it's going to be necessary for you to focus on one thing that is going to change your identity. You're going to have a new identity by the end of, you know, when Jupiter leaves Leo in a year, and then Chiron leaves your sign at the end of the 8 years. This is all developing your new identity. We have take the lead. This is all turning you into a leader, Taurus. And I know you're a leadership personality, but not everybody at this time is taking the lead, because we're all going through different things. Some of us are going through some pretty heavy-duty, devastating changes, and we're still feeling, you know, the tremors from the earthquakes of the towers falling when Uranus was in Taurus. So I feel like this is going to be a very changing month for you. We have the moth spirit surrender now. There's your shot in the air. There's your warning here, friend. Look, I feel like you are walking into the second half of 2026 way further ahead than you were in the first half of the year. And I feel like things are really going to be moving in a very positive or lucky feeling direction for you. Taurus, please don't forget, private reads are open. If you're interested in any of this, wondering about how things are going to work out for you in the second half of the year, then please click the link that is below the pinned comment. Sorry, above the pinned comment, and you will find the link to Hypsee there. Okay. Woo. All right, here we go. We've got the Two of Swords. Wow, we are at a definite crossroads here, Taurus, in the month of July. Excuse me. It feels like there is something here that you have been thinking about changing, but maybe you weren't ready just yet. It feels like the Page of Cups being here tells me that there is simultaneously exciting changes and possibly changes that are heartfelt. We do have the Two of Pentacles, which tells me there is a decision, a major decision. And I feel like I'm saying major decision because I feel like although there's a lot of transits going on, which are going to affect you whether they're in your sign or not, I feel like there is some 3D or real type decision making. And I don't mean just in the mind, I mean on the ground. I mean in your three-dimensional world, right? We have the Page of Cups. And because it's coming up under truth transcends the illusion, I feel like you gain some sort of balance in July because I feel like you now are realizing that things are evening out. Things are becoming more stable, right? 2 and 2 is 4. Things are becoming more stable, but I think that the Page of Cups is telling me that now you're going to realize that the surprises or the exciting things that are showing up are not here to pummel you to the ground. These changes, the transformations, are actually things that are going to make you feel like, oh, that happened in my favor. Let's find out what else is going on here. For the month of July, we've got the Two of Wands. Look at this. I really like this. 2, 2, 2. That means decisions and putting your plans in action, putting plans in motion that you've been having. I think that you've had to hold back on those plans, Taurus, because I feel like you were going through so much tumultuous things going on, one after the other after the other. So we have the Magician here, which I really love because you now have picked a direction. The Magician's facing into the future, and it feels like you realize now, I'm the one in charge. The energy shifts to me now. I'm the one who's in charge of all the tools. I know how they work. And now I'm going to make these solid decisions without going back, Capricorn energy. I'm going to make these decisions, and we're going to move forward because I have a plan to do so. We have the Six of Cups. Now that is a little bit of retrograde energy, right? As I said, for most of July, Cancer is going to be, Mercury is going to be retrograde in Cancer. And, you know, it is a time of reflection. It's not necessarily always romantic. It can be, of course, but there's so many things in life that you'll be reflecting on. And I think we're kind of coming to this place here where we've got decisions now are being made, decisions about plans. Sorry about all those sirens and noises, but you know, it is what it is, right? Windows are open. So we've got, and maybe it's a confirmation, we've got a plan here that you have been holding back on, waiting to put into action, I feel. And now that the Magician's here, you can do that. You can now make the decision. You can now move away from the crossroads. You don't have to protect yourself so much anymore. And I feel like this Six of Cups could be saying that there is something that is going to move you ahead, but it also is going to be something that's moving you ahead because it feels like you're making some sort of decision about something that that has happened in the past. But I feel as though this Page of Cups is really a surprise about how you're feeling about this nostalgic energy. This definitely could mean that you're thinking about someone from the past. You say, I was talking about Mercury retrograde in Cancer, right? So that is emotional reflection. And we've got the Six of Cups. There's no more emotional reflection than that. So I feel like you are off to the races here. It feels like all of this by the end of the month is going to make you surrender to taking the lead. It feels like you're not waiting for permission anymore. And I don't say that in a literal means. I don't think you're a person that waits for permission. But I feel like some of you have been holding back a plan or holding back making a decision. It might be a financial decision. Somebody here has been in a place that they were blocked, that they got the plan's on paper. Maybe it's a business plan. Maybe it's a plan to surprise somebody that you haven't seen in a very long time. But I feel like the Magician says all things are clear. I have the power now power has shifted back to me after you having to give your power up to the universe for a while. And I feel like the power has shifted back to you and you know it. So I feel like you, my friend, are going to feel far more in control going into the last half of the year. But let's get through July first. Tell me about the Two of Swords. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. We've got the Star. And we've got the Seven of Swords. So Taurus, I feel like you really are seeing things for what they are. The Star is here to say, I was hopeful that this whole thing was going to work out a certain way, but it's going to work out the way that it always should have. And I think that's really what worried you, is because I think that you wanted to control the outcome, but we all know that when the Wheel of Fortune's involved, when destiny shows up, we're not in control of the outcome. Destiny shows us where the path is and then offers it to us and say, are you ready to follow? It's when we decide not to follow destiny, or when we're not ready to expand or change, that's where the problems end up. We end up frustrated. We end up angry in the comments. We end up angry at people around us because we're not ready to change and life is telling us to change. I feel like this tells me you're ready, because I'm seeing decision-making cards, twos, right? Your plan is here, deciding on the plan because I have the power. And if I want to allow somebody back in my life from the past, I will. But I think that you are reviewing the past. This feels like an emotional, reflective time because of Mercury retrograde being in Cancer, which happens at the end of the month of June and is going to be here for most of July, I think till about the 23rd. Let's look at the Two of Pentacles, because I feel like here the Seven of Swords is telling me that there was something here that was being concealed from you, and it was hope. And I think that you didn't want to hope that things were going to change or get better, because every time you did, another tower showed up. But I feel like you're free from the tower. I feel like that's going to be shocking, but you are going to see this truth through the illusion. And I feel like you're going into July. This is the bridge, right? The weeklies will be the bridge into July. We'll find out how you end up here. But this reading, I feel, is telling me that you are about to make decisions in the month of July that are going to be for a very long time, because the planets, where they are now, they're going to be stationary there for a really long time, right? They're going to be stationed in their respective signs for a while. So the Ten of Pentacles shows up and says, yeah, so in July you are preparing for the rest of the year. For some of you longer than that, but the Ten of Pentacles is here with the Nine of Pentacles. I love that, because there's that leadership card, right? And then we have the Four of Pentacles. This exactly is what I was talking about. The Four of Pentacles was you holding back, but still holding on to something that you wanted to build by yourself, or maybe you were struggling to build. Look, maybe you just started a business at the wrong time. Maybe it just wasn't getting off the ground. I feel like you held onto it, Taurus. I don't think that you laid down and said, fine, I just won't do this. I think that you held onto it tightly, and now is the time to build, because Jupiter is going to be showing up in Leo pretty soon, and that's expression and expansion. So I feel like something is about to expand, but look, if you haven't made the decision to do it yet, July is going to be your time to put your plan into action and make the decision. It's going to end up with long-term security or a long-term relationship. It could be that as well. The Nine of Pentacles is here saying, but you've got to be ready to build alone for a while. Maybe you've already been building alone. Look, everybody's at a different place in their life. That's why this is a general read. Some of you have already built into the Nine of Pentacles. Some of you are standing on the precipice of beginning the building by making the decision. So I feel like you've held on to something that you see as valuable, and I think that you will continue to move forward with that thing, because I don't think you're giving it up. I think you're holding it to your chest, holding your cards to your chest, and I think that the month of July is the time when you expand, because the Wheel of Fortune is here, which is Sagittarian energy, by the way, which just happens to be ruled by Jupiter. So that tells me that what's expanding is your mind. We've got swords here. The Two of Swords, right? This is the place where we're at the crossroads, and we know I know that if I go forward, I'm cutting out the past. I know that if I remain in the past, I'm not allowing the future. So I feel like you are making a decision. I think the decision will surprise you, my friend. The Page of Cups is here. And I think also there is something that is going to surprise you in July. And I think that the Page of Cups is telling me that you see the truth of something. It's like you see through the smoky, what's that, smoke and mirrors? You see something for what it truly is. And I think it does surprise you. It may be about the past, and that may be why you choose to move forward, realizing you're the one that has the power in the situation now. We've got the Four of Swords. We've got the Ace of Wands. And we've got the Seven of Pentacles. I kind of like this because what you're seeing the truth of, my friend, is that it's time to go. It's time to experience life in an exciting way that you never knew was possible. Why? Because the Seven of Pentacles is here. You've already set the intention. You've already shown me that you've been holding on to something. You already have the business plan, or you have the plan in place about what you want the rest of the year to look like. It tells me that you've healed from something here, and I think it's because you've come to this stability of the mind here. That's why the Ace of Wands is here. Because whatever you are seeing, whatever truth is transcending through the illusion, look, the illusion might have been, I can't have that. I can't have I can't build a business by myself. I can't make enough money to buy a house. I feel like you are seeing through some sort of an illusion that you possibly set for yourself. But when we do see the Seven of Pentacles, it is all about being patient, about waiting, about learning and going over details. It's about setting an intention and realizing that you must cultivate, work really hard. And look, you're no stranger to hard work. You don't really care how long it takes as long as you get to the outcome. So I feel like that's going to be what is going to surprise you. And I do feel that Mercury retrograde is going to be part of that. You're going to get some sort of emotional reflection. This indicates emotional reflection. And I feel like you are going to take a look into the past and realize that since that all happened, that the energy has shifted to you, and that you now are the one who is in charge of the Six of Cups. You get to choose whether you spend your time looking backwards or spend your time pushing forwards. All right, we've got the moon. Whoa, that's very interesting. So you've got the moon energy. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the extended. If you'd like to be in the extended, that's where we're going to peel this apart just a little bit further. We're going to talk more about the oracles that I pulled here. Look, there's something exciting coming here. The Page of Wands has showed up to say get ready, because it's time to take a little bit of a risk on something that is going to make you very excited. But I feel like it's a little bit ominous because you are yet to see the truth through the illusion. There's the illusion, right? So I feel like there is something really exciting coming up here. We've got the Page of Swords, and you've been observing it from a distance, Taurus. And we're going to go into the extended and talk more about what's going to unfold in the month of July. And if you'd like to be there, please look at the pinned comment at the top of all the comments. You will see there is a link there for the membership area, which is where all these extendeds go. If you're interested in a private reading based on what is going to happen for you in the next 6 months, I do have a reading for that. And so if you want to go to the Hypsee link, please take a look there. Take a look at all my prices and packagings, and yeah, I'll see you there. And if not, that's okay. I'll be back with your weeklies, Taurus, because I'll always be back. I'm going to go for now. Take care. Bye-bye.